Hi everybody. So I'm looking at page 5 and I noticed some people had some basic problems that I need to clear up for you today. All right, so let's start off right away with some of the basics where we talk about division. In this case, this is division of a trinomial divided by a monomial. And in your head, what you're thinking is 24 x4 x to the 4 y cubed z squared divided by 12x squared yz squared minus 36. Okay, we're writing this whole second term of the trinomial on the top, dividing this also by 12x squared yz squared. And then that third term, which, yes, it's exactly the same, 12x squared yz, except for the 4, and so we're going to divide by 12x squared yz squared. Now remember, you're going to be dividing the coefficients and subtracting the exponents. And generally, this step that I just wrote, okay, is not necessary. This is what you have to think. Okay, here's my little thought bubble. That's what you need to think for working out this next step. So what I'm doing is, I'm going to divide and get 2, subtract the exponents, and I'm going to get x squared. Subtract the exponents, and I'm going to get y to the 2, right, because that was y to the 1 on the bottom. And the z on the top, it was a z squared. Z squared divided by z squared. There won't be any z in this answer. It would be a z to the 0. The next one, I divide the 36 and the 12, and I get 3. The x cubed divided by the x squared is just x to the 1. I don't need to write that. The y squared divided by the y is going to be y to the 1. And the z cubed divided by the z squared is going to be single z. So each of those exponents, okay, got reduced to a 1. And then the third term, the 12s disappear. Now remember, that becomes a 1. Same thing with the x squared and the x squared, that becomes a 1. The y's divide to become a 1. And all that's left over is z to the 4 divided by z to the 2, which is z to the 2. And there's your answer. I already did 9a in class. I want to take a look at 9b. Just a reminder that this, again, is the sideways version of the division that we just did. So you're dividing the 2x from the 4xy squared, from the 6x squared y, and from the 2x cubed. Same routine, but we're not going to write out the steps this time. We're just going to go directly to the solution. You're saying, what's 4xy squared divided by 2x? And that's going to leave me with 2y squared. The 6x squared y divided by the 2x is going to leave me with 3xy. And the 2x divided by the 2x is going to be 1, you don't write it, x squared. And don't forget that minus sign that comes down from the previous step. You double check and you say, is 2x times 2y squared going to give me the 4xy squared? And is 2x times 3xy going to give me the 6x squared y? And same thing with the 2x times the negative x squared. So you can always check your answers to make sure they make sense at the end of it all. Put it in a box. Yeah, there's a line there for the answer, but I'll just put a box here. And it would be units. We don't have length in centimeters or meters or whatever. So I kind of wish I had put this section first in this area because you're trying to find the missing factor and it winds up being a division, and yet more often students do better thinking about, all right, let's just pretend like I don't know what's in that second bracket and just figure out what needs to be there. Well, you're going to have to multiply the r squared times something to get you r to the 5. So that will be r to the 3, right? Because r to the 2 times r to the 3 is going to be r to the 5. And then the b to the 3, you're going to have to multiply by a b to the 1 to make it a b to the 4. So your answer is r cubed b. Now, this method can be useful, but not always efficient as we get to the bigger questions. But let's try this again, okay? And I'm going to give myself a little more room here, so I'll remove that front bracket a bit, move it over. And I'm saying, what do I multiply by to get the 4, right? So what do I multiply this negative 2 by to get a 4 in front? So that's going to have to be a negative 2. What do I multiply the s squared by to get an s to the 4? Well, that's going to be an s squared also. And you don't see a t in that second bracket, so the only thing missing here must be the t squared. And that's going to be equal to negative 2s squared t squared. The other way of having worked out that question would have been to just say 4s squared t squared divided by negative 2s. Okay, and that's going to give you that same answer. Whichever way you see better, that's the one you stick with. Now, I pointed out that the second bracket in question C is going to have 2 terms, so I'm going to need more space here. And I'm putting the 2 terms because it's a monomial, 3a, and it's going to have to multiply by 2 things here to give me my answer of 6a squared minus 3a. So 3a times what is going to give me the 6a squared? 2a. And 3a times what is going to give me the 3a? That'll be a 1. And to take care of this minus sign, it's going to be a minus sign there. So my answer is 2a minus 1 in that bracket. The third one, like I said, we could do this guessing and checking all day long, but I think it's better to turn around and say I have to do 12k squared to the 4, make that a little bit nicer, minus 6k cubed minus 3k squared, and I'm going to divide this whole thing by negative 3k. As some of you have seen it, you like it better written that way. Others of you prefer to see it this way. Either way, you're going to be dividing that negative 3k from all 3 of the terms. You might want to put it in a bracket if that's going to confuse you. So what is 12k to the 4 divided by negative 3k? Well, that multiplier is going to have to be 4 and a k cubed, and there's going to have to be a minus on it, so that the negative 3k times the negative 4 is going to give me a positive 12. Then, when I'm dividing the 3k by the negative 6k cubed, it's already negative, so I don't have to worry about the sign. So I'm going to be dividing by a positive 2, and then what do I need to multiply that k by? A k squared. And the last one, negative 3k times what is going to give me this negative 3k squared? It's going to be just a k. And you have to put a sign there, it's going to be a plus, positive. There's your answer. It takes a little bit of thinking, it takes a little bit of planning in your head, because the division is hard to see. You're always thinking, what is the multiplication going to have to be? So let's take a look at page 6. The first part should not be that difficult. It's actually looking back at the old stuff. X to the 10 over x to the 2 is going to be x to the 8. Remember, you subtract the exponents. And then the second part, I'm multiplying, so that's going to be plus 6, right? 2 times 3. And then x to the 5 and x to the 3, you add those exponents. They're like terms. So it's going to be x to the 8 plus 6x to the 8 is going to be 7x to the 8. So it winds up being a monomial because we have like terms. Okay, question B1. I was talking about this and some students are not seeing it the way they should. First of all, let's be clear what's going on here. I'm adding a 3x, a negative 5, and this whole part here is a multiplication 4 times 2x minus 3. And this part is, yes, you're subtracting the bracket. You can think of it as a multiplication of negative 1. So the first step I'm going to do on this, and I apologize for the way this layout is on the question. It's kind of disorganized. Sorry. So the 3x is going to be 3x. The minus 5, nothing changes. The positive 4 is going to multiply into the bracket times both of those terms and become 8x minus 12. Now I need a symbol here, and the symbol that goes between the negative 5 and the 8x It's not a bracket, it's a plus sign. I've added those to the expanded binomial. For the second bracket, multiplying the negative into both terms is going to become negative x and plus 1. That, I think, is the hardest part of this question, is to clear out the fact that expanding the bracket still turns everything into additions. Now, when I'm doing the next portion, I just have to add up the like terms. So let me highlight, I've got a 3x, a positive 8x, and a negative 1x. The three of them together are going to give me 10x. And then I've got the negative 5, negative 12, positive 1 is going to be negative 17 plus 1 is negative 16. And you're done. The next question, okay, I set this up for you. We've got a monomial here, we've got a FOIL to do here, and in this question we've got a division. If you can get this question out of the way, if you can understand all of these, I think most of the ones after this are pretty straightforward. But everyone's got a little bit of a challenge. So the first thing, x squared stays by itself. The FOIL, there's 4 multiplications that go on there. 3x times x is going to be 3x squared. 3x times negative 5 is negative 5x. Positive 2 times x is positive 2x. And the positive 2 times the negative 5 is negative 10. Now in front of this bracket, it's just plus, right? You've expanded it all those pieces are just coming out of it. The next part, however, be careful because there's a minus in front of this division. And so when I do 15x cubed divided by 5x, that's going to leave me with 3x squared. And the negative 20x squared divided by the 5x is going to be negative 4x. However, this minus sign, we cannot ignore it, is going to be multiplied by both of those terms. Now some students are brave and they put the negative in right away. I'm kind of nervous about doing that. I take an extra step just to put all the pieces in proper order without any brackets and then collect all the pieces together. So negative 3x squared plus 4x. And then you can start combining all those like terms. And combining the like terms, it's kind of weird. I kind of overshot this one a little bit in class. You're trying to figure out the matching one. So I got x squared, 3x squared, and negative 3x squared. And this has a 1, and we're only adding the coefficients. So this is going to be 1x squared plus 3x squared minus 3x squared equals to positive 1x squared. You don't have to write the 1. My x terms, on the other hand, are going to be negative 5x, positive 2x, positive 4x, and so that's going to be adding them together, right, using integer rules, of course, is going to be positive 1x. Don't have to write the 1, but I will because I just started it. Don't feel like erasing. And then the last constant term is negative 10. So I'm going to stop here, okay? The recording's already getting 15 minutes, sorry about this. But I think it's important that you've seen these steps explained along the way. I will make a second version of this to talk about question 5, which I know is a little bit of an issue for many of you.